welcome to Coaching, the Core of Opus Culture. This is part one. I'm Joanne Smikle, and I look forward to working with you on your coaching competencies. Coaching is how we do business at Opus. We coach up, we coach down, and we coach sideways. We're receptive to coaching, and we encourage it from lots of different sources. We view coaching as one of the essential leadership skills for growing in our company. Coaching, consistently and correctly used, is a tool that can almost guarantee peak performance. It involves observation, communication, clarification, and then even more communication. It's a critical element of the performance management process. Now, some of you are going to say that you don't have time to coach. Well, you really don't have time not to. It's going to save time and resources in the long run. You're going to be able to address behaviors, the positive behaviors and the negative ones, when they happen. You'll have sufficient current data for rewards, for recognition, and for other forms of employee motivation. Most important, you'll be able to retain the best team members and weed out the worst. Coaching is a method, an important method, for reinforcing the Opus mission. It's another tool that will allow you to have a hand in making the mission real every day. Which elements of the mission can you begin to immediately reinforce through coaching? Can you reinforce dedication to the highest standards through coaching? Or can you reinforce our caring and our compassion through coaching? Think about which elements of who we are you can use coaching to reinforce. I mentioned at the beginning that this is part one. That's because this volume is divided into two parts. It's designed to introduce the skills that you as a manager need to coach team members throughout Opus. It reinforces the performance management process by providing practical tools that you're going to use and use and use again. Now, our objectives include the following. First, to introduce the coaching competencies that you can apply immediately so that you can live the mission. Second, to provide practical tools for linking coaching to your unique leadership style. Third, to provide opportunities to practice coaching and to practice counseling. Coaching, counseling, and mentoring are different yet interconnected concepts. Each has a role in managing people, stimulating peak performance, and increasing productivity. Deciding when to use each of these three performance management tools requires discernment. I want to give you the definitions of each term. Coaching. It's a component of the performance management process, an essential component. It entails behavioral observations, which are then followed by specific, timely feedback to reinforce positive aspects and to correct negative. Essential elements of coaching include the demonstration of appropriate skills, competencies, and behaviors, constant, clear, concise communication, creating a link between the day-to-day behavior, our mission, and customer satisfaction. Now, counseling's a little different. Now, counseling, this is communication that focuses on corrective action for recent behaviors inconsistent with the mission. You use this after coaching has failed to produce the desired results. It's generally viewed as corrective or punitive. It's a management action, and it's an intervention that must be thoroughly documented. It often usually involves, formal reprimands and formal warnings. Mentoring is a formal or informal process by which we form strong personal relationships that are used to promote career enhancement, long-term personal and professional development. Mentoring does not have to be used in combination with coaching or counseling. A mentoring relationship may evolve from either of those things. A mentor protege relationship requires interest and commitment from both people. Whether you're coaching, counseling, or mentoring, you're leaving a mark on another person's life. Knowing that, it's vitally important that you master the skills of each. It's also important that you develop the communication abilities that support coaching, counseling, and mentoring. Now, achieving the developmental benefits of mentoring, coaching, and counseling, it requires a commitment to the long haul. None of these processes get us instant or magical rewards. Instead, they require patience, time, commitment, and a sincere investment from your heart. Emotional intelligence. It's our ability to master the sometimes very subtle elements of leadership. And that's what can directly impact and alter human relations throughout the organization. It's these elements and these relationships that can exponentially increase a leader's ability to lead. Even a person who's just average in their subject matter can really succeed if they've mastered the components of emotional intelligence. And it's a critical competency to have if you're going to coach successfully. Now, the reverse is also true. You can be brilliant, an absolute genius, and still not be maximally effective as a leader. This lack of effectiveness occurs because you have not mastered emotional intelligence. I'm going to go through the four components of emotional intelligence with you. They are self awareness, self management, social awareness, and social skill. I'd like to talk about each of those elements for just a moment. Let's talk about those four components of emotional intelligence. Self awareness. It's really about how well I know me, how honest I am able to be with myself about the things I'm proud of about myself and my warts, because we all have warts. That's what self awareness is. It means that I don't have a fantasy about myself. I can deal with the reality of who I am, good and bad. Self management. This is all about self control. How well do I use myself and my unique array of gifts and talents in the workplace? How positive am I? How much do I reinforce the mission? That's really what self management is all about. And then that third component of emotional intelligence is called social awareness. Do I understand the fact that the workplace is filled with all kinds of different people who are driven by different things, who are motivated and inspired by different things? As a leader, do I understand that? Am I socially aware enough to know that everybody isn't just like me? The final component of emotional intelligence is social skill. This is about how well I draw people in and get them engaged in the mission. How much do I do? How well am I able to bring people to their maximum potential? Do I create the kind of environment where people want to be part of the team? That's what social skill is all about. Now, there are some competencies that are the foundation for emotional intelligence. They include things like self-confidence, adaptability or flexibility, trustworthiness, optimism, empathy, a service orientation, developing others, and teamwork. Those are competencies that we must have to be emotionally intelligent leaders. Each and every one of us has our own unique leadership style. Those of us who have a truly high level of self awareness, that first component of emotional intelligence, are keenly aware of what our style is, the result it gets us, and how to use it for the good of the organization. I'd like to look at a few of the common leadership styles. First, there's the conqueror. This is the take charge style that's best suited for crisis situations. These people display the confidence and the competence that inspires trust. There's the innovator. This style sees limitless possibilities and is comfortable with uncertainty. These people are always on the lookout for creative approaches to problems. And you know the technician? This is the style that capably handles the nuts and bolts basics of the business. These people are excellent tacticians who have developed mastery of their subject areas. And there's the collaborator. This style builds and maintains really strong relationships. These people get resources, they get support, they build allies, even in difficult situations. Now, the strategist is very important because this style, these leaders, they understand the world as it is and they skillfully maneuver within these complex conditions. These people understand the big picture and can navigate to reach long-term goals. So, what is your style? Or which styles do you most often blend? Each style can learn to skillfully use coaching to enhance their ability to get results that foster and support our mission. Coaching is a learned leadership competency. We're not born able to coach. It's developed with time and it's developed with practice. Clear communication, the ability to reflect, and the desire to build relationships are all essential for sound coaching. Not only must a good coach be conscious of emotional intelligence, but they've also got to be constantly working to refine their abilities in each of those four areas of emotional intelligence. You know, coaching is a lot more than a leadership fad. It's a tool that you can use to lead more effectively. How would you like to employ your own coaching skills to lead more effectively every single day? How would you like to employ your coaching skills to maximize the Opus mission? There are several skills that a good coach will have. First, of course, they demonstrate high levels of emotional intelligence, but there are other critical skills that they need to have as well. One, they need to have keen powers of observation. In other words, they're people who can pay attention. Two, they need to have sensible judgment. Three, a good coach is a person who's able to take action, to take appropriate action, and to take timely action. You know, there's something else. A good coach has the ability to be introspective. They can look inside and figure out what is it that I am bringing to this situation that could be causing a little bit of the problem. They also have a willingness to make their own behavioral changes after that inspection, after that introspection. They have the ability to figure out which reflexes are productive and which reflexes get in the way. Good coaches reflect before they act, and they encourage the same from the person being coached. They focus on the long term. They provide positive feedback and encouragement, as well as the constructive criticism. You know, effective coaches know which questions to ask, when to ask them, and how to ask them. They know how to assess behaviors, both the positive behaviors and the negative behaviors. And most importantly, they know how to calibrate their own behavior. They use lots of different techniques to help team members grow. They recalibrate their interventions based on the needs of the person being coached. They keep track of effective behaviors as well as ineffective ones so that they can lean towards what's been working. They appreciate the human element and they develop a full picture of each individual team member. Coaching is a process-oriented activity. It addresses attitudes, aptitudes, and behaviors in an iterative manner. We observe, we compliment, or we correct, we observe some more, we provide feedback, and the process continues. According to author Laura Devine, the coaching process should identify and reveal a world of possibilities. Three paramount questions emerge as the coaching process begins. What are the possibilities for the team member, for the organization, for your relationship with that team member? How can those possibilities be realized? And what is it that will enable the person to see and take action in a more constructive way? Now, there's a link between how a coach works with a person and the possibilities that become available to that person. This influences the competencies that a person develops through the coaching process. If they are having positive interactions with their coach, we're going to see positive results. Coaches identify exercises and practices that enable the coached person to attain their goals for development. The person coached is responsible for being fully engaged in these activities. Now, there are any number of reasons for coaching. The first should be to keep appropriate behavior and appropriate activity going. That's the reason that it's essential to become skilled at coaching to the positive. Now, another reason for coaching is to stimulate change. The change can be in behavior, in attitude, or aptitude. Think about a team member that you need to coach. Remember, the first type of coaching we use should be positive. So, who's done something really well and needs to hear from you? That's where you begin your positive coaching, with that person. There's sufficient time to get to the corrective coaching, but let's begin by focusing on the positive. So, what are the possible outcomes of the coaching process? When we're coaching to the positive, one of the outcomes is continued positive behavior, and that's what we seek to develop. We seek to develop a whole organization full of people committed to the mission, living and working to the standards in that mission. There are other possible outcomes of the coaching process. The first is we'll see tangible, specific, repeated positive behavior, and that's what we want. The second one is competency development. People get better at what they do. And then the third one is behavior modification. People change their behavior so that it is consistent with the Opus mission. The coaching process begins with well-developed communication skills. Communication starts before the first word is ever spoken. It starts with the perception process. This is how we gather information, select what we want from the message, and mix it with what we believe we know. The process continues with organizing that information into a reference pattern. Then we interpret that organized mix into something we can use as coaches. This perception process happens subconsciously and in a matter of seconds, yet it has a profound, lasting impact on the communication and on the relationship. There are principles of perception. The first one is perception involves attaching meanings to symbols. Second one is that our perceptions are imperfect and distorted. The third one is that perception is very intimate and very subjective. The fourth one is that perception impacts communication. And the fifth one is self-perception is as powerful as how we perceive others. Now, I'd like to share a few communication checkpoints with you. The first one is before you're going to coach or communicate at all, Think through what you want to say before you spit it out. Consider the position of the other person, the receiver of your message. Consider what they might be thinking and feeling. You got to know and understand which communication styles work best, where, and how to use them. You must be aware of your personal style and how it helps or hinders with the reception of your message. You must be aware of your nonverbal cues, and we all have nonverbal cues. Got to develop and master a higher than average awareness and sensitivity to the different cultures that we interact with in the workplace. Listening is the single most important communication skill that you can master. It's a learned ability, and it can and should be constantly refined. It's important for coaches to be excellent listeners. There are three types of listening, and I'm going to explain each of them to you. The first is active listening. That means I can physically hear you. I might not be paying attention, I might not care what you're saying, but I can physically hear you. The second type of listening is attentive listening. This is when I can physically hear you and I'm cognitively at least a little engaged, so I have some understanding of the message. I care enough to pay a little attention. But the third type of listening is what we seek to do at Opus, and that is courageous listening. That is when I can physically hear you, I'm cognitively engaged, and I'm willing to risk being persuaded. I understand that there's value in the message, even if I don't agree with it. So when I'm a courageous listener, I'm listening with my ears, with my brain, and with my heart. How can you learn to be a courageous listener? Well, you can defer judgment. You can pay attention to the content and ignore the form and the surface issues that get on your nerves or get in the way. You can listen quietly and completely to grasp the meaning. You can listen for the main idea and not get caught up in the words. Listen really for the main idea. You can avoid sidetracking sarcastic comments. Maintaining good eye contact can help too. And once the message has been delivered, you can ask for clarification. You can control your emotions and be conscious of your own biases and your own perceptions. You can maintain concentration. In this volume, we address the basics of coaching, things like emotional intelligence, understanding your leadership styles, and how to communicate effectively are really at the core of effective coaching. In the next volume, we're going to look at how to create coaching conversations and really connect well with team members.